Okay, Moedim L'Simcha everyone. Hope you're all having a wonderful Sukkot. In this video, we're going to examine Kayin's response to Hashem right after Kayin kills Hevel. So Hashem appears to Kayin over here, right? In Pasuk Chet, we had the actual murder, Ve'akom Kayin al Hevel achiv ve'yahargehu, and now God is looking for answers. Ve'omer Hashem el Kayin, Hevel achicha. Hashem says to Kayin, where is Hevel your brother? Now, obviously Hashem knows where Hevel is, but he's trying to engage Kayin in conversation. And the Chumash doesn't tell us exactly what God wanted to hear. At a minimum, he presumably would have wanted Kayin to at least acknowledge that he killed Hevel. Ideally, he might have even wanted Kayin to acknowledge and then express remorse, perhaps ask for forgiveness. But that's not what happens. Instead, Kayin says, Vayomer lo yadati, I don't know, Hashomer achi anochi, which is often translated as, am I my brother's keeper? Am I my brother's guardian? That hey with the chataf patach vowel over there indicates a question. So he's asking, am I my brother's shomer, my brother's guardian, or the popular English quote of this quote, am I my brother's keeper? So what exactly is Kayin trying to convey with this? Rashi points out, which really I think is the most simple interpretation here. Rashi says when Kayin tells us lo yadati, that I don't know, nasa kegonev dat elyona. He's like someone who's doing gnevat dat. He's trying to deceive, literally steal the mind, to deceive the highest, loftiest mind, meaning the mind of God. And like we just mentioned about that hey being a question, Rashi also observes, Lashon Temahu, this is a question, am I my brother's keeper? How do I know that? So Rashi makes the same point we just made, that any hey that has that chataf patach vowel, that's the patach with the two dots on the right of it, that pattern at the beginning of a word indicates that the hey is leading into a question, as opposed to the more common hey that we see at the start of many words, which, let's say, ha'adama, over here is the land. Right? So we're more used to the prefix hey meaning the, but if the hey is a chataf patach, then it indicates a question. We see that in Pasuk Zayin also, that question where God had told Kayin, Halo im tetiv se'et. So we interpreted that as, is it not true, is it not the case that if you will do better, se'et? And we discussed before what se'et means. So here, Kayin says, I don't know where Hevel is. Am I my brother's guardian? Am I my brother's keeper? And Rashi says, at face value, what Kayin's basically doing is deception. He's trying to trick God. That's a very negative view of Kayin, certainly consistent with what we've seen with Rashi until now, that Rashi in general feels like Kayin didn't just commit one sin when he killed Hevel, but more broadly, Rashi feels that Kayin's behavior throughout this passage is the behavior of someone who never had a very fine character. Rashi disapproves of the profession Kayin chose. Rashi disapproves of the offering that Kayin brought. And again here, Rashi is not only disapproving of the fact that Kayin killed Hevel, which is obviously a terrible thing to do, but also of Kayin's response. I want to raise a question here. The way I wrote this to myself, these are my personal notes, I asked myself, are we talking about just plain old chutzpah and sheker, sort of, arrogance and dishonesty towards God? Or sheyesh lo ta'ana mahutit? Is it possible that Kayin has some sort of a substantive claim over here? And I gave this to you in a handout as well. We'll look at it in your handout. I asked you, what does Kayin think according to each of these meforshim? I want to actually start from the end. Rav David Tzvi Hoffman over here, who lived in the 1800s and early 1900s, he's the latest, most modern of the meforshim we're going to look at here. He basically takes Rashi and runs with it. Again, Rashi had said that Kayin was like a gonev dat elyona, he was trying to deceive God. So Rav Hoffman elaborates about just how chutzpahdik this was. He says, look at what Kayin did. Lo rak shekayin makhisha ma'asehu, not only is he denying his action, right? He's not acknowledging that he killed Hevel, which is what God would have wanted. Hu af mosif b'chutzpah, he's adding this extra level of chutzpah. So not only is he saying, I don't know where he is, which implies like obviously I didn't kill him if I don't know where he is, but there's this added level of saying, am I my brother's guardian? Right? Like it's not even my responsibility to know, right? Not only do I not know what happened to Hevel, but like why are you asking me? It's not my job to know. right? I'm not my brother's keeper, and therefore, Efo with an aleph at the end means therefore. It's not Efo with a hey at the end means where. Efo with an aleph at the end means therefore. So since I'm not responsible for my brother, therefore, I'm not obligated to know al makom himatzao, about the place where he's located. Right? It's not my problem to know where Hevel is. And so Rav Hoffman, again, he's sort of elaborating on what Rashi had said, that when Kayin says not only lo yadati, but he adds hashomer achi anochi, I'm my brother's keeper, he's basically saying, I really don't have any responsibility over here. I'm not even supposed to know where Hevel is. And the way he's saying it is incredibly dishonest, because maybe it's true that it's not his job to know where his brother is, but obviously in this case he does know. His hands are probably still red with blood from the murder. His brother's body is lying on the ground in front of him. So the simple pshat here is that Kayin is just telling a bold-faced lie to God. However, some of the Meforshim didn't want to suffice with that. I think what bothered some of the other Meforshim was they found it hard to believe that's even possible. If we go back one chapter for a second, so we know that God similarly approached Adam and Chava, Adam specifically, after they ate from the forbidden fruit. Now we're in Perek Gimel. And over there, God appears to Adam and he says, Ayeka, where are you? This is right after Adam went to hide in the bushes because he heard God coming after he ate from the forbidden fruit. So Adam also, God doesn't really love his response. Adam says, At kolcha shamati bagan, I heard your voice, va'ira ki yaram anochi va'echaveh. And I got scared because I'm naked, so I went to hide. So Adam kind of answered God's question. God asked, where are you? And Adam said, well, I'm hiding because I'm naked. But obviously God had a larger agenda than that. And so when Adam's a little bit evasive, God probes a little further. Mihigid ki yaram ata. Who told you that you're naked? Hamin ha'etz, again, this is a question hey with a chataf patach under it. Did you eat? Just look at the end. Achalta is going to be the main point. Did you eat? Did you eat from the tree that I commanded you not to eat from it? Did you eat from that tree? Is that how you know? And again, God's kind of fishing for a response here. He's hoping Adam will say, yes, I did, I'm sorry. And Adam sort of acknowledges it, but he's very evasive. Adam says, yeah, I ate from it. I ate from it. But how does Adam introduce that? The woman that you gave me, the wife that you gave me, she gave me from that fruit, and yeah, I ate it. So Adam at least acknowledged that he ate the fruit, but in the same breath, first he tried to be evasive and just say, well, I'm hiding, without explaining how he knows he's naked. And then when God called him out on that, he tried to still shift the blame. So yeah, I ate from it, but it wasn't my fault. It's the fault of my wife. He doesn't even just say my wife. It's the fault of the wife that you gave me. So in essence, Adam's acknowledging he ate from the forbidden fruit, but at the same time, he's trying to shift the blame to Hashem. When it comes to Kayin, so Kayin, at face value, Kayin's not trying to blame anyone because he's not acknowledging anything, right? Kayin doesn't know where his brother is. If he doesn't know where his brother is, then ostensibly he doesn't know that his brother's dead, and so there's nobody to blame for the murder because Kayin doesn't even know that Hevel's dead. And so this is really an extra level of chutzpah where obviously he's not taking any responsibility. He's not even acknowledging the facts of what happened in the case. As if somehow, like Rashi said, he could be, Gonev Dada Eliona, as if he can somehow outsmart God on this, and God's not going to realize where Hevel is. And so Rav Hoffman is basically just elaborating on what Rashi had said, that it's this higher level of chutzpah. Not only is he denying what he did, which, as Rashi said, is deception, but he's adding a higher level of chutzpah by saying, the reason I don't know, and the reason I'm able to, not pretend I'm not aware that Hevel's dead, is because I don't have any responsibility to even know where Hevel is. This whole thing is not my issue. It's not my problem at all. But again, that seems so chutzpahdik, so brazen, so much more extreme than even what Adam did, where Adam at least acknowledged the fact of what happened, that he ate from the forbidden fruit, and then he tried to shift the blame, that other Meforshim couldn't believe that's what Kayin meant. So the Netziv tries a different tack over here. The Netziv, if you remember, we had a question what it meant back in Pasuk Zayin, where God had told Hevel, Elecha teshuka tov atat timshol bo. So recall that when God had said, Ve'elecha teshukato v'ata timshol bo, most Meforshim took that to mean that its desires to you, meaning sin, and you shall rule over it. But we mentioned the possibility that it could also mean his desires to you, and you shall rule over him. In which case, God was giving Kayin a license to somehow rule over Hevel. And God probably meant that Kayin, don't be so depressed about what's going on. You're still the firstborn. You're still going to rule over him, meaning you're still going to have the preferred status of the firstborn. Says the Netziv, Kayin is trying to use that interpretation of what God said to him as an excuse to shirk responsibility here. So when Kayin says, I don't know where my brother is, Netziv says, look, in my mind, says the Netziv, the key word here is the word achi. Excuse me, let's get it over here. Am I my brother's keeper? Says the Netziv, Lo Yeshiv Hashomer Hevel Anochi. He didn't say, am I Hevel's keeper, am I Hevel's guardian? Rather, Hashomer Achi, am I my brother's guardian? Why did he stress using the word brother instead of using his brother's name, Hevel? Says the Netziv, he was really trying to say, Lo Yadati Ki Hashomer Achi Anochi. He's trying to say, I didn't realize I'm still responsible like a brother. Shinini Mechuyav B'Memshalti Alav L'Shomro Gam Ka'ach. When you said I'm supposed to rule over him, I didn't know that means I'm obligated in my ruling over him to protect him, like a brother, shelo yuzak v'lo yehareg, that he shouldn't be damaged and he shouldn't die. Rather, ani haiti savur she'ani kemoshel v'hu ke'eved. I thought what you meant was I'm like the ruler, like the king, really, and he's like my slave. Ve'en li lishmor achva. I don't have to sort of protect him in a brotherly way, protect his a brotherly relationship with him. And so then Netziv's reading, it's as if Kayin is acknowledging that he knows Hevel is dead. Right? Because again, it's hard to imagine he really thought God doesn't know what's going on. So the Netziv is trying to say, look, Kayin kind of acknowledged he knows Hevel's dead, but he's saying, I didn't realize that was my problem. I thought it's not my problem, because I thought I get to rule over him like a king, and he's my slave, and if I want to beat him up like a slave, if I want to execute him like a king executes people who disobey him, I thought it's up to me to do that. And so according to the Netziv, I don't know if this is better or worse. It's better in the sense that Kayin didn't think he could tell an outright lie and say, I don't know where Hevel is, and trick God in that way. But it's worse in a sense that Kayin's saying, like, yeah, I killed him, but I didn't know that's my problem. I'm supposed to be his keeper, his guardian, like a brother. I know he's dead, but I thought I had a right to do that. I thought I could just beat him up if I wanted to, and if he dies, so be it. And so the Netziv has this sort of radical reading here, where Kayin is trying to really blame God and say, God, I thought when you said to me, V'ata timshol bo, which is Kayin interpreted as rule over him, I thought you were giving me a license to kill. I thought you were giving me a license to do whatever I wanted to Hevel. One final view, going backwards order here, comes from the time of Chazal, from the Midrash Tanchuma, where Kayin says, and like the Netziv, this Midrash assumes that Kayin acknowledges that he killed Hevel. Av Kayin kachamar. Kayin said as follows: Ani haragti oto. Yeah, I killed him. But barata bi yetzer hara. You gave me a yetzer hara. And so ata shomer hakol. God, you're the shomer. You're the guardian, right? He's saying, am I responsible for my brother? What he really means is, God, I'm not the one who's responsible. You're responsible for the whole world. You created this world. You put me in this world. Lihi nachto tolahargo. You put me here with the opportunity to kill my brother. You gave me the yetzer hara, the desire to kill him. Right? If you'd accepted my korban, I wouldn't have wanted to kill him. In other words, God, it's very troubling reading in a certain sense. According to the Midrash, Kayin is saying, God, I killed him. I killed him because I wanted to kill him, because I was angry at him. But it's your fault because you created those circumstances. You gave me all these human desires. You tempted those desires by rejecting my korban and accepting his korban. And therefore, you should ultimately be responsible. Now, Rav Amital discussed this midrash in the Sichai Had You Read, where Rav Amital tried to really make this whole story about personal responsibility and how Kayin has whatever struggles he goes through here, and he doesn't want to really deal with those struggles in a serious way, and so he tries to shift the blame to God for it. And so, just to sum up, the simple pshat of the story, I think, is like Rav Huffman said, and like Rashi really said before him, Rav Huffman just elaborating on it, that Kayin is really trying to deceive God over here, say, I don't know what happened to him, and that's chutzpah. There's the second interpretation, either by the Netziv or by the Midrash, where Kayin is trying to say, I know he's dead, but it's not my problem, and they each take that